Hi, it's Maureen Muldoon, and today we are with Lesson 86, a review of Lessons 71 and 72. Only God's plan for salvation will work, and holding grievances is attack on God's plan for salvation. So these lessons are kind of repetitive, but they're repetitive because we keep falling asleep, and we need to remind ourselves again and again that only God's plan for salvation will work, and that holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for peace and salvation. So the first one is only God's plan for salvation will work. It is senseless for me to search wildly about for salvation. I have seen it in many people and in many things, but when I reach for it, it's not there. I was mistaken about where it is. I was mistaken about what it is. I will undertake no more idle seeking. Only God's plan for salvation will work. And I will rejoice because His plan can never fail. These are some suggested forms for applying this idea specifically. God's plan for salvation will save me from my perception of this. There is no exception in God's plan for my salvation. Let me perceive only in the light of God's plan for salvation. It's my daughter. The next one is holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that God's plan for salvation will not work. Holding grievances is an attempt to prove that God's plan for salvation will not work, yet only His plan will work. By holding grievances, I am therefore excluding my only hope for salvation from my awareness. I would no longer defeat my own best interests in this insane way. I would accept God's plan for salvation and be happy. Specific applications for this idea might be in these forms. I choose between misperception and salvation as I look on this. I choose between misperception and salvation as I look on this. If I see grounds for grievance in this, I will not see grounds for my salvation. If I see grounds for grievance, I will not see grounds for my salvation or my peace. This calls for salvation, not attack. This calls for peace, not attack. Sometimes I substitute the word salvation for peace because salvation isn't a word that I use in my normal vocabulary. And most times when I substitute peace, it makes sense. So like here, this calls for peace, not for attack. If I see grounds for grievance in this, I will not see grounds for my salvation. I would not see grounds for my peace. So they're pretty interchangeable, at least I've found that they are. And that's the lessons for today. That's the review. And practice them and apply them and embody them. And if anything happens today that seems to steal your peace of mind, just recognize that the fact that, we would rather, experience peace than these grievances, and we can let them go. Of course, the Course says, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? And being right is not going to feel good. It's going to feel toxic, and we're going to feel vindicated. But how long does that high last? There's a definite hangover that comes from that kind of high. And today we don't have to, experience that up and down of crucifixion. We can, just claim peace and experience peace and hold on to our salvation. And in that is our true happiness. So that's the news. That's the good news today. God bless. Have a good day. The sky knows